Sir, please take a seat. Please sit, please. Okay. Good morning, everybody. Gives me great pleasure to welcome you all today for this interaction. I'd like to invite Mr. Sitaraman, the chairman of the steering committee of the Defense Expo, Defense and Technology Expo Empowering MSME, which was recently held at the Chennai Trade Center from the 26th to 28th of May 2022. Today's is a follow-up event. The General in his inaugural address had mentioned that he would like to host all of us, the exhibitors, to an interaction and also invite some of the senior people from the Dakshin Bharat area of the Indian Army, and hence this event has been organized. So without further ado, we'd like to start the day's commencement. The program for the day is a short welcome address by Mr. Sitaraman, which will be followed by an address by Lieutenant General Arun. This brief introduction: Mr. Sitaraman is the chairman of the Super Auto Forge company, and as I said, the chairman of the steering committee of this event. He's been a supporter of the Swatantra Foundation, which was the main organizer of this event, along with the co-organizer Laghu Udyog Bharati and TIDCO of the Tamil Nadu government. Mr. Sitaraman's extensive track record in the automobile industry and promoting the various causes related to the industry is known to everybody. We take it a great pleasure and honor to have had him as our steering committee chairman. And I would now like him to begin the proceedings. Before that, we would like to felicitate our chief guest, Lieutenant General Arun. I'd like to request Group Captain Vijay Kumar of the MMA to present a bouquet to Lieutenant General Arun. Thank you, Group Captain. Without further delay, I request Mr. Sitaraman to share a few words, and then I will be back to introduce Lieutenant General Arun formally and have his address. Sir.
Respected General, other dignitaries, officers, and colleagues who have come from industry, welcome you all. You may remember on the first inaugural day of the DEF Expo, General had said that that day he had very little time going to the Prime Minister's visit to Chennai that day, that he would later on spend some time with the exhibitors and interested companies to more as a guidance how they can do their business better with the defense ordnance setup. So he kept up his word and gave this date 10th to be available in the morning to meet with all of us and give his word of advice how we go about to improve our business or do better business with the supplies to defense. He had also made extensive arrangements by coordinating with his other officials who will also be disseminating today as to how we should go about doing this business. I thank you very much for that, sir, kind action, and I request all of you to feel free, ask whatever type of doubts you may have, and get clarifications on what you need to know. And our final objective is to improve our business through supplies and also in the same time contributing to the national defense. We have twin objective for which we can all be proud of. Thank you for coming. I'll leave the stage to General.
Thank you, sir. A brief note on the organizers of the event, Swatantra Foundation. Swatantra Foundation was a think tank established a few years back, and we have been an organization basically involved in policy research and advocacy. The idea for the Defense Expo originated from our research, where we felt there was a need to bring to the attention of the various user groups in the Army, Navy and Air Force and the defense sector about the capabilities of the MSMEs, as well as awareness has to be built in MSMEs about the opportunities that exist and the way to tap those opportunities. So that was the concept which we worked on, and with the Ministry of Defense support, we organized the first ever MSME focused Defense Expo, which was a roaring success. We had more than 7,000 visitors attend those 3 days, 40 seminar sessions, attended by close to 880 odd delegates. We also had 500 plus B2B business meetings, which was put together by the Miss Uma Mayappan of the Lagu Udyog Bharati, very successful. And we had overwhelming participation from the DPSUs. The other main co-organizer was TIDCO, the Tamil Nadu Industrial Development Corporation, which is a nodal agency for the defense corridor. And they provided us with the support to get this event organized. The other main co-organizer was Lagu Udyog Bharati, which is a MSME representative body with a pan-India presence, and they were there in full strength to support us for this event. So that's a brief about the event, about the organizers. And now about Lieutenant General A. Arun, our chief guest today. Lieutenant General A. Arun, Yuddha Seva Medal, Sena Medal, Vishishta Seva Medal. It's an All India rank holder in IIT JEE. He refused to join the IIT and instead joined the NDA in 1982. A graduate of the Defence Services Staff College, Wellington, India, and Centre for Defence and Strategic Studies, Canberra, Australia, and National Defence College, New Delhi. He is experienced in managing personnel and logistics of international task force in Cambodia and Sierra Leone, and handling short-term projects in forecasting and structuring of large coalitions, including significant civilian components at the UN headquarters in New York. He's a multiple master's degree holder in defense, strategic management, nation building, and conflict prevention and creative writing. He's done a postgraduate studies in personnel management, human resources development, and creative writing. Has been in the thick of action, has been seriously wounded in operations in J&K, a recipient of the Sena Medal for gallantry, Yuddha Seva Medal for outstanding leadership in conflict, Vishish Seva Medal for distinguished leadership and outstanding service. He was awarded the Chief of Army Staff's commendation 4 times, in addition to the North Star Medal for excellence. He's personally passionate about personality development in general and people leadership development in particular. He has conducted more than 800 sessions across a variety of audiences on varied topics. He also created a record recently by successfully conducting a very large workshop for about 17,200 students from all over India and on leadership and happiness in one session. And he has conducted workshops for schools, colleges, corporates within the Army whenever time permits. I'd also urge you to look up YouTube and see some of his wonderful lectures, which I personally did and found it a very, very motivating and insightful both as a professional and as well as a aspiring leader. He's currently posted as a General Officer Commanding Dakshin Bharat area, prior to which he was the Director General Strategic Planning at the Army Headquarters. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to invite Lieutenant General A. Arun to share his thoughts with us, followed by a tea, over which there will be further informal interactions with the General. General, sir.
Morning, Jai Hind. Thank you, sir. Education has no meaning unless it's put to use. Skills have no meaning unless they are put to use. Heritage, historical relevance has no meaning unless it is put to use in the current context. Yesterday, I was speaking at a summer school where there were over 200 students from all over the country and some currently holidaying overseas. Indian children, organized by a young university in Sonipat, Haryana. And one of the girls who's currently holidaying in Dubai asked me, "Sir, I want to start a factory and make something which the army can use." I said, "Okay." She said, "Sir, what should I make?" If, more such questions, more answers that we have to give, the easier we make the process, the more transparent that we make it, the more competitive that we make it, we will graduate from being a country to becoming a strong, robust nation. But that was a young child, probably grade 10. This was on a Zoom session, so I couldn't see her face. It was just a typed question. I answered it. But that's what we do. What is it that I'm doing? At the outset, I need to thank the Swatantra Foundation and all of you all who this is selfless work. This is not a job you were mandated to do. This is not a job which you're paid for. This is not a job that is going to give you an award or a recognition. This is a calling which you answered. Priceless. We do a job, we get paid for it. So what I do is not a patch on what you all have done. To be the first classic definition of an NGO who has no governmental stake to organize a defense expo after so many years of planning and put it together so meticulously. I don't even know how big your volunteer or employee network was to have been able to reach out to so many different agencies, put it together so successfully. There would have been issues of logistics, budgeting, communication, infra. I don't know what else. 3 of our officers attended all the 3 days of the event. And stayed from the time we inaugurated it till the time it was closed. Attended seminars in all the 3 seminar halls that you had. Must also compliment you on the directory that you produced after or during the event, which lists out everybody who exhibited and everybody who wants to be part of this journey. So huge compliments. I am just a catalyst. I am not my current job does not involve either policy formulation or procurement of any manner. Yes, it is true that in my previous job in Delhi, Brigadier Ravi, who has come down from Delhi, he will speak to you all a little later after tea, and he works for a component of the army called the Army Design Bureau. For those who read up on other armies, particularly the Americans, this is probably the largest and best funded component of the United States armed forces. It is their think tank which seeds the idea, which feeds DAPA, which is built into the university curriculum, which then develops an idea, translates it through their offices from industry into a product, and then we buy it. And we pay them for the life of that product. That is what I intend to replace. We should own the product. We should own the IP of a process. So somebody in the world in future uses I don't know, maybe there'll be a phone which is built into everybody's body. I really don't know. Every time they make a call, we should get paid 1 paisa. And that is when we'll become a rich country. That is when we will have people buying our products. I said it during the conference, make in India is fine. He will also tell you we have certain verticals of make 2, make 3 and such like. But my desire is design in India. Create that idea in India, and then the Lord knows we have enough grey matter to be able to create it. What we probably didn't have were platforms where we knew where to go. I do know that because of our past practices and extant policies and the way in which our systems are configured, on this road from from idea to deployment of a system, there are many heartbreaks. I'm quite aware of that. I'm also aware that there are many failures. I'm also aware that there are probably financial losses. I'm also aware that there is probably some form of disgruntlement or disappointment with the system, because the system is unable to support everybody's aspirations and needs. This meeting intends to minimize those. Is Ravi Yadav and Ajay Sibal, who's come from Pune, and are we capable of removing them overnight? No. But we are definitely able to initiate a process which will make this change happen. So just a little word about what the ADB does. It's the Army Design Bureau. It's headed by a Major General, and I promise you the next time we have this meeting, I will get him also here. Although when that Major General has a doubt in the process, he will consult Ravi. So it really doesn't matter. Ravi is the owner of the policy. Ravi has a bunch of colonels who report to him. Each of them do different jobs, but I will tell you three. One of them is exclusively linked with DRDO and its projects. The second one is completely linked to academia. So he's the one who speaks to all our tech schools and B schools and whoever else does this. The third one is related to industry, who speaks to, because we are in Delhi, its normal conversations are through CII and or FICCI. That is the lead point, and from there we go in. And all of them report to him. Simultaneously, the ADB has got a direct reporting line to the Deputy Chief. Now it's called CDNS. Yeah. So capability development and sustenance. Capability development is self-explanatory. Develop capabilities, either thought capabilities or actual deliverable capabilities. Sustenance is the procurement, the purchasing of those. So that's a very, very senior Lieutenant General in the Army. So the ADB reports directly to him. There is a dotted linkage to the Ministry of Defence, who own the policy and who formulate the policy. So the defence procurement policy and the amendments that come out from that policy have a very close connection with Ravi's office. The Secretary of Defence Production, who looks after all our defence PSUs, and who's got the capability to generate seminars and conferences and meetings and new ideas, also has a dotted line linkage. So that is where Ravi comes from. In the last few years, we realized that this office from Delhi was not enough, because we have scattered manufacturing units all over the country. Therefore, it was decided to create technical nodes to be an offset or a subset of the ADB from Delhi. So in all our commands, we created a technical node. And we have 7 commands, geographic, all over the country. As far as you and I are concerned, it's the Southern Command, which is in Pune. That is officered by Ajay Sibal, who's here. So when I have to make a request to the Vice Chief or the Chief of Army, I have 2 ways of doing it. I could probably pick up the phone and speak to the Chief or the Vice Chief, which is fine. But it necessarily needs to be followed through the correct process, which is through Ajay Sibal and the office of Ravi Yadav. So when I had to get them here, unfortunately, I took the shorter route. I spoke to the Vice Chief first, who's a dear friend of mine, because sometimes it's nice to go top down also. So, but we're very grateful that they are here. Post the tea, they will give you a little conversation of what the current policies are, what are the schemes that exist, what are the areas that interest us. We will also tell you what has been done so far and what is in the offing. 2-3 things should remain of interest to you, and this is my recommendation. So please scratch his content matter to get answers to these 2-3 questions. Everybody does not have to make a gigantic product. When a Boeing gets an order of 50,000 crores, Boeing has got probably 50,000 smaller vendors who provide Boeing with various kinds of equipment. We buy it as Boeing, but Boeing buys it as whatever from X places. So they all are part of that subsystem. So if you are making elastic in Tirupur, that elastic may find its place in somebody else's product. If you are making Velcro in, let me rhyme it, in Vellore, I'm sure it will find its place somewhere. The intention of both the Def Expo which we had and this meeting is also for us to be able to find that correct linkage and have a platform where you can have a conversation. I'm sure Ravi will share his email ID, and I'm very certain that he will become the larger platform. I'm not even a platform. I'm a catalyst. I play no role. I'm just helping to expedite the process. Technically, that's what a catalyst does. It doesn't affect the outcome. So I'm hoping that when you have this conversation and you have an identity and a name and a face to converse with, let's say tomorrow there is something happening in the defense corridor in Lucknow, and you don't have any official intimation. You're a small, spare parts or metal casting unit, high-end metal casting unit in some place in Erode or wherever it may be. If you wish to know whether what is happening in Lucknow is of any use to you, he will tell you. If the DRDO is venturing on something and they are looking for partners in their journey, he will tell you. So this will become like an information portal where we can all source the information and then take it from there. Is he capable of giving you all advice on financing and restructuring of your companies and corporate communications? Sorry, you don't buy an air ticket in a bus stand. That is not what he can do. So please source from him whatever he can do. Don't expect from him something which is not what he can do. And I'm sure whatever he can do and must do, he will deliver that and more. This is the first of many conversations. There's something happening in Trichy on the 14th, 15th. It's a similar one. Yeah. So quickly, can you tell us what's happening in Trichy on 15th? Actually, I have no topics to talk, so I'm filling in time. Yeah. Yeah. I think it'll get carried across because for all those who are watching us live, I'm sorry I forgot to acknowledge your existence. You're priceless. Without you all, we cannot move ahead. The fact that you've logged in means a lot to this process and to this mechanism. Thank you. Yeah, so that they can see you. How did you stub your toe?
Had a minor accident.
Please.
Please. I am Colonel Selva Kumar. I am CEO of Bridge Bharat Council. It's a Section 8 company, a non-profit. We are trying to give back to defense where we had spent our life. We primarily connecting all the universities and colleges of Tamil Nadu with the MSMEs who are there. And we have actually gone down to the grassroots level MSMEs, and we are having interaction with them and connecting. So far, we have signed our MOUs with most of the cluster bodies, industrial bodies in Tamil Nadu. We have over nearly 10,000 companies with us through the MOU. And 300 companies we have actually walked into, seen their capabilities and done the mapping. We have NIT Trichy on MOU with us, SRM University, and another 30 such colleges and 5 universities. So our job is primarily to educate everybody regarding the procedures, how to go about. We are interacting with the universities and asking them for carrying out live projects, the R&D for defense. Say the requirements.
Just tell us what's happening in Trichy on the 15th.
All right. So at Trichy, what we're having is, previously we were planned to have an event at NIT Trichy for a similar one where the academia is going to be participating. About 50 or 70 industries will be there. They're putting up their expertise. The university also is to put up the projects they have held. Unfortunately, the NIT Trichy has got some event, so we shifted it to Periyar Maniammai Institute of Science and Technology at Tanjavur, who is already into a similar kind of project through us. They are having a Air Force IGLA flight training simulator worth 10.44 crores orders as an university, private university. So we are kind of holding the event there, and we are trying to let the defense officials come and explain to us what is their requirement, what they are looking at, what are the policy matters that are to be done. We are requested the university to come up and say what is the capability, how they can give the technology upgradation of the industries. Industries are going to request and where they are, indicate, highlight where they are, and request the universities and us as to how we can bridge all of them to successful defense projects.
Thank you.
So that is it. Thank you very much.
So that's just a sample. So my request to you, so I was just speaking to Sitaraman sir before we got in, and I was telling him about a young entrepreneur I know who's made an electric cycle. First generation entrepreneur, returned after his graduation from Singapore. He's made an electric cycle in a manner which he thought the best. I want to help him because young Indian kid, much like our children, who's decided to do something on his own here in India. So I was asking him if I can connect him to serve for mentoring and guidance. And so he said the problem is this scaling up. That little jump from just being this little kid next door to becoming a big manufacturer and marketing it. So events like this, sir, my request is to please give us some time. Now, while Ravi Yadav was listening to you, in his mind would have gone through for a fraction of a second, 15th is like 4 days away. How does he even go back to Delhi and convince somebody that we need to be present there on this 15th? To be able to speak to more vendors, to be able to reach out. Through me. I can be very charming when I want. No. Time, if you are able to plan the event ahead of time, it'll help. And we will be able to give it the significance which a tough event like this merits. This is a non-glamorous, hard work event. And it must be represented at the highest levels. And therefore, we're very grateful that both the Army headquarters and the Command headquarters are represented here. I thank all of you all for coming in and taking part. Please ask as many questions as you can. And if we don't have the answers, we don't have the answers. Ravi will get back to us. I promise to communicate back through the foundation, whatever answers you may need. You know where our offices are. You are most welcome to walk into our office. We have Colonel Ratan, who that's not his only job. He does other jobs for me. But I've nominated him to be the contact point. So he'll the point you can reach out to, and he will get back to ADB and get back to you with the answers. The questions can be about policy. The questions can be about actions. The question can be about future plans. The question can be what are the technologies the armed forces are looking at going forward over the next 20 years. That was my previous job as DG. It used to be called PP then, Perspective Planning. 25 years. So I was mandated to look forward 25 years. You succeed or do you fail? 25 years is a long time. I will definitely not be alive till then, so can't be held accountable for failures of mine. But that was a job. He is closely involved with that. The prediction of what will we require 25 years hence. And that is the technology which I'd like you to spend a little time and money on now. Because you do it now, in terms of defense equipment, it will actually find its place in first manufacture in about 15 years. It'll begin large scale production in about 20. And that is when we can field it in the 26th year. That is how defense technologies work. At the end, thank all of you all for coming. We will now, I think, have a nice cup of tea. And I'm happy to converse with you all over tea. After tea, I will be leaving you to both the brigadiers. Please feel free to ask them anything that you wish. And I look forward to all the interactions. Vijay sir? Well, no, you come in 1 second. So I have to, I will fail in my duties if I don't thank the Madras Management Association. Group Captain Vijay administers it so efficiently. It's a different issue. We're both friends as well. And I'm also a member of the council here. But MMA for offering the use of the facilities and for being such generous host to giving us the platform. Thank you so very much. Swatantra Foundation, priceless. The arms of government that have come together and helped you all put together this so very successful Defence Expo. I, in my mind, wildest imagination, did not imagine the size, scope and reach of that expo. It's only after the event that we realized what a mammoth event that was constructed. So, fantastic. My compliments. Thank you. You have a great day today. Jai Hind. That's okay. We can just wait outside. Fantastic.
For 5 minutes.
I cannot, the list of people to thank who put this together is just amazing. All did a great job. Great job.
So, Karnataka chapter is organizing another defense, aerospace and defense in Expo, September 15 to 17. We'll come person to invite you, sir.
Awesome.
With INS. This is going to be about 400 plus exhibitors. We'll also have it there. This is also, these events also you would like your team to be part of it so that more people get awareness.
So is there, this is a brochure, but is there?
No, I'll come with an invite for the team.
Yeah.
But personally will come with it. They also send you.
Yeah, but then I can
Sure.
route stuff because
I would request everyone to kindly take their seats, please. Now we will be moving to the next segment of the event. Next in line is a presentation by Army Design Bureau by Brigadier Ravi Yadav, DDG ADB. I'll be giving a short introduction of the speaker. Brigadier Ravi Yadav was commissioned in 6 Raj Rif, which he later commanded. The officer has commanded 10 Sector Assam Rifle in Manipur and has varied experience of serving in high altitude area and intense CI ops. The officer has done extremely well in professional services. The officer is tenanting the appointment of DDG Army Design Bureau, also called Technology Resource Center. Technology Resource Center is a central repository of technologies, know-how for Indian Army. It is a single point of contact for interactions with industry, academia, DRDO and field formations. TRC has played a sterile role in bringing together developers and users for enhancing capability development for Indian Army. TRC has been able to make industry and academia appreciation peculiar requirements of Indian Army. TRC undertakes research and development projects for Indian Army in niche technology domain and further facilitates no cost, no commitment demos for developed products. I would request sir to please come on the stage and give his presentation.
Respected General Officer Commanding Dakshin Bharat area, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, at the very outset, let me on behalf of my ADG, General CS Man, convey our gratitude to Dakshin Bharat area, especially to the GOC, for having given us this opportunity to come and inform all of you as to what we do, who we are, and how we can take you forward. I would also like to take this opportunity to convey what great honor it is for me to speak in front of all of you, and thereafter also to guide you through the processes that we in the Army Design Bureau are responsible for. Not too many slides, but more focus on sharing information. Ladies and gentlemen, you are aware that if you want to discover new oceans, you must leave the comfort and the safety of the shores. This, in essence, conveys the ethos and the theme on which the Army Design Bureau functions. And in technology parlance, if I have to convey the same sentiment, I'll probably say that if you want to change the game in technology, then you got to leave the comfort of predictable outcomes. What that means is that all of us together need to look at the soldier as the primary purpose of focus and develop capabilities which makes it easier for him to fight his battle as well as always keep the flag flying high. The Army Design Bureau was raised in 2016 with the sole purpose of being the facilitators for the industrial technology ecosystem within as well as outside the borders, and connect them with the Indian Army as the users. We have two sections. One section is the technology and weapons section, which is basically the section which is more like a think tank, which carries out the entire scan of what is available globally in terms of technologies that can be utilized for defense purposes. And thereafter, having kept a repository and database of knowledge, this database is eventually brought to use in a later time frame when we need those technologies or those associations. The second section, which I belong to, is the Technology Resource Center, which we just mentioned, is the more direct connect with all of you, is a more direct facilitation of what the user needs through connect and engagement with the industry, with startups, with MSMEs, with academia, and with the DRDO. The general in his opening remarks has already covered as to how these engagements are carried out at different levels and what kind of information and database management we carry out at our end. I shall, in this talk, give you in-depth information about how you can be part of this entire process. As far as we are concerned in the Army Design Bureau, none of you are vendors, all of you are partners. And that is how we look at the industry, we look at the startups, we look at the entire ecosystem which encourages development of defense-related technologies. At the same time, I must also show you the focus. Unwavering focus is always on the soldier. He is the person for whom all of us are here together today. Now, the start point, as can be expected, is the identification of the user's needs, which means that a summarized problem definition statement is what we work on. Now, this comes to us from different sources. It could be from the line directorates. When I say line directorates, we have in the Army headquarters, the infantry, the artillery, the armored corps. All of these have verticals which are called the line directorates. Then we have the field formations, which also give us inputs with respect to what is required out on the borders. And we also have an internal assessment of what we might be needing from the strategic planning directorate and others with respect to technology capability over a period of time, which becomes part also of the perspective plan. So when we undertake projects, they have to be somewhere or the other aligned to the problem definition statement. Now first, let's talk about research and development. Why I talk about research and development is that if you can carry out some kind of proactive action in terms of at least identifying methods and routes to reach to a particular end state in terms of a technology, then that becomes the precursor to everything else. So R&D projects which we handle are under the head of something called the Army Technology Board. This is a board which comprises of numerous members and it is headed by the Deputy Chief of the Army Staff, CDNS, which the General just spoke about some time back. The Army Technology Board identifies research and development related problem statements, which could be both generated by the user or else it could also be suggested by the academia, because through these projects we engage with the academia, which is all of the IITs, the ISC Bangalore, and we also engage with anybody who is interested in taking up research and development for defense purpose. Now what that means is that as far as government institutions are concerned, like the IITs, we have financial powers which are given to the Deputy Chief of the Army Staff, which are to the tune of 12.5 crore rupees on every project. And if it is a non-government agency which is handling a project under R&D, which is part of the Army Technology Board, then the powers are 7.5 crore rupees. What we also assist the academia in doing is finding partners in the industry through whose competence and through whose capabilities these research and development projects are taken forward. Now, just to showcase as to how important this is for us, we have established an Indian Army cell in IIT Delhi, which is facilitating this entire effort. And it is also connecting the dots in terms of bringing the competence and the academic capabilities of the academia to the armed forces in a manner that we can immediately on a very regular basis, periodic basis, utilize that capability. So this cell presently in the IIT Delhi. Similar cells are also planned to be established in all the IITs. We have started off with IIT Kanpur and the Indian Institute of Science in Bangalore. So these will also come up in due course. Now let's talk about the design and development projects. Now these projects are the projects that we handle through direct involvement with the industry. Now this involvement could be one-on-one with the industry representatives for the bigger industries, and it could also be through the consortiums that we have, the organizations that we have like the FICCI, the SIDM, and also the AIMA. So once again, as I mentioned to you, the start point of all these endeavors has to be the problem defined by the user. We cannot remain disconnected from that at any point of our processes or the manner in which we progress cases further. The design and development projects based on identifiable technologies or capabilities that we need over a period of time are given to the industry, and the head under which these projects are handled are called the Make head, that is the Make in India head. Now these are in 3 different categories. We have the Make 1, the Make 2 and Make 3. The Make 1 category is basically funded 70% by the Government of India, and the balance 30% is expected to be raised by whichever industry which is handling that project. So what that means is that in the end you will have a deliverable which will be paid for in majority, that is 70%, by the government during the entire process of both concept right till the milestone at which the prototype is being delivered. The reason the government is invested so heavily in Make 1 is because by and large these technologies will not have a dual case commercial economic usage in the end, and it will be restricted to defense usage. So that is why Make 1 projects are taken up with maximum funding from the Government of India. Then there is the Make 2 category, which is funded completely by the industry itself. And the difference here is that the industry funds that. Thereafter, there is at some point, let's say towards the 3rd or the 4th milestone, there is a minimum order quantity which is also promised by the government. And in the end, this is a dual use technology which can also have business commercial use beyond the defense usage. Then there's the Make 3 projects, which are primarily aimed at component and maintenance infrastructure for the existing projects, or else for the projects which are being undertaken currently or in a later time frame. So the Make 3 category deals with funding by the industry for components that are created for the existing technologies or its technologies that are coming up. This also permits some amount of TOTs from foreign vendors as well as joint ventures being established by with foreign firms. Now let's get down to smaller businesses, and these businesses are handled under something called the IDEX, which is Innovation for Defense Excellence, which is under the Defense Innovation Organization, which is part of the Ministry of Defense. The IDEX cell is a Section 8 company, so that it is facilitated with carrying out businesses with the startups as well as the MSMEs. The manner in which the IDEX infrastructure works is that there is something called the DISC, we call it the DISC, which is Defense Innovation Startup Challenge. And every now and then, periodically on the website of the DIO, you will find the launches of the DISCs being announced. The DISC is nothing else but a compilation of challenges, and these challenges are once again what the user defines in terms of his technology needs. Now these technologies could be processes, they could be components, they could be end case, use case, and state technologies. So these defense innovation startup challenges are announced, after which the startups respond to those challenges and they give out their own proposals. Many of these proposals are received by us, and after which these proposals are examined. The startups which are selected are invited to give presentations on whatever proposals they have put across as part of the DISC response. And there's a high-powered selection committee which is chaired by the Army Design Bureau ADG, which finally selects the winners based on certain parameters on which certain marks are allotted, and whoever comes across as the startup with the maximum number of points is declared the winner of that particular challenge. And after which the entire project is given to that startup. He is also assisted in terms of providing him with a handshake with the partner incubators, which could be the IITs or the industry, and from there the projects start. By and large, the desk challenges would be anywhere between 24 to 36 months. That is the kind of technologies we are looking for in these challenges. So the desk challenges which raise IDEX, normal IDEX challenges are funded partly by the Government of India and partly by the startup which has been selected. The normal IDEX challenges are 3 crores worth projects, which means that 1.5 crores is funded by the Government of India, and the balance 1.5 crores is expected to be raised by the startup that has been selected. There's also something called the open challenge system, wherein suo motu proposals are received from the startups themselves without any challenges being put across or problems being put across by the user. And these open challenges or these suo motu proposals are examined by us. What we do is that the subject matter experts, both available within the services, that is within the Indian Army, the subject matter experts which are available in the academia, and the user, as well as the startup himself or themselves are called over. There's a discussion that we facilitate in the Army Design Bureau. We sit down and talk about what is on offer, and thereafter we decide whether it is relevant and viable for us or not. And after the selection of an open challenge proposal, the route that is taken is the same. It is treated as a normal IDEX, that is 3 crores is the amount that is given to that project. This also has now been enhanced by the Defense Minister this year itself, where there's something called the IDEX Prime that has been started. And this is just an enhancement of the funding, which has now been raised to 10 crores for technologies which are slightly more expensive. So 10 crores, which will be funded by the Government of India. The balance 10 crores is expected to be raised by the startup that wins that project. So that is under the heading of IDEX Prime. The General Officer mentioned our engagement with the DRDO. Yes, we have a formal mechanism of engagement with the DRDO where we do two things. One is identify use cases for which the DRDO can be the lead agency. And the second is also monitor and keep the DRDO in a way engaged and accountable to us for whatever projects they are already undertaking. The DRDO, which has the direct connect with the user, is under something called the Technology Developmental Fund, the TDF. This also has a website. The funding of this category of funds is under the DRDO's control, and it allocates 10 crores per project. And out of these 10 crores, 90% is funded by the DRDO, and the balance 10% is expected to be funded by the startup or whichever MSME wins that particular project. So we have quite a few projects which are being undertaken under this head as well. There is also another little component that I want to mention here, that the development agency which undertakes projects under the TDF is also connected with the industry outside, so that it is facilitated through the process of the entire duration of milestone achievement. So the common procedures that across the board are applicable to all these procedures is that there is a signing of an MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, with whoever is the winner of a challenge or a TDF project, after which we decide on the tangible milestones that have to be achieved up to milestone 5, and once those milestones are verified to have been achieved, the payments are released accordingly. And in the end, there is something called user evaluation that takes place, and finally there is a trial which is a single stage composite trial which is conducted by a trial team, and eventually it leads to procurement action. In case the products meet the QRs that have been laid down, then it leads to a final procurement action. So these are the routes that are available to you all in terms of how you can take up projects. All of these are available on open domain in the websites which deal with each of these routes. So for example, the IDEX, there is a website for the IDEX, there's a website for the TDA projects, there's also a website for the MAKE projects. So all of these are available in open domain. What you have to do is go to the website, register yourself, fill in your proposal, it will come to us, we'll examine it in the collegiate manner in which I just mentioned to you, get the subject matter experts to chip in, and then we select these projects and proposals and the process commences. And let me also show you that wherever you get stuck, in case a project has been given to you, we are always available to you to sort of guide you through those times and through those challenges. Now what else do we do? Well, we also provide access to certain service infrastructure which you would probably need for your testing or your internal evaluations. Now, for example, there are operational locations in high altitude in the northern mountains in Leh and Ladakh in the eastern sector, you might have certain technologies that you would like to test, or you would like to go and test out technologies in the ranges that we control. So yes, we offer that to you. If you approach us, then there is a procedure for it. It is not too time consuming. Like for example, presently what we've done is, till the 30th of June, we've taken air clearances for Leh and Ladakh for any drone innovators to go across, carry out internal evaluations, and thereafter sort of come back and refine their technologies to sort of improve their products. So that is also available through us. We also have something called the NC, no cost, no commitment demonstrations that we conduct in different areas, which might lead to procurement action. For example, you have a finished product and you want to carry out a demonstration, you want to show it to us. So we'll engage our operational commanders. You'll go to a forward area in an operational area, and thereafter you'll carry out a demonstration which might lead to a procurement action, as I mentioned to you. Of course, the procurement action will have to be as per what is laid down in the DAP 2020. So that is how we will carry out the procurement part of it. But you have the facilities like the ranges and the high altitude areas where the army is deployed, and you might test your products in front of a board of officers which has been nominated to kind of field evaluate what technology you bring in, and thereafter carry out procurement action or recommendations for procurement action. So as I mentioned to you, we've had numerous trials, numerous NCNC demonstrations which have led to procurements in the past, and you can approach us, we will organize the same for you as well. Now, finally, what else do? We also have forward area tours that we organize for any of you who is interested. So certain organizations which represent you, like for example, the FICCI or maybe the SIDM, or maybe even now the MSMEs are represented centrally as a national representation. So these teams can go across with certain representatives from some selected startups, go visit the forward areas, sort of get a feel of how things are there, understand what high altitude means, and thereafter get back and start working on what technologies you can produce which could fit into those requirements of those environments. So, ladies and gentlemen, all I want to say is that there's a soldier standing on the borders. Now, he is standing in inhospitable, difficult areas. There's an adversary ready to strike. Now, whatever you can bring to us which can help him fight better, we will welcome you with open arms. We will facilitate your journey through that process, and we'll also make sure that you benefit in terms of your, getting your commercial models going in the right directions. So that is the purpose of the Army Design Bureau, and we are open to sort of contact from anybody all across the length and breadth of this nation, and feel free to contact us and sort of clarify your mind whenever you want to do that. I'll just flash the screenshots of the websites and the manner in which you can contact us. So for TDF, as I was mentioning, this is under the DRDO. This is how the web page looks like. And if you see on the right, you will find as to how you can enter your proposals and how you can register. So this is the next page. If you see, this is how you can enter your details and carry out registration. These screenshots will be available with the Dakshin Bharat area staff here, so you can easily take these details from them. And these are the kind of projects that we undertake from this under this head. So let's talk about IDEX now. This is how the homepage of the website looks like. This is where you'll find the challenges. If you see, all of these links are given to you already. And if you see, Disc 6 is mentioned, so this is where we are at today. The Defense Innovation Startup Challenge number 6 is currently on, and you'll find various challenges which will be listed here. So if you have anything that can sort of fulfill the requirement, you are free to register, and thereafter, this is the process for registration. As far as the make category, which is the bigger ticket projects, this is how the website looks like. And this is where you'll find various problem definition statements which will be available. And if you feel something is relevant to your capabilities, so you can go through these channels. The website is very simple and self-explanatory, so you can access it. It's open domain. And as far as how to connect with us, so this is how you can connect with us. So this is available with the staff here. You can collect these details from the staff. And these are the links to the websites, the web pages that I just showed to you. So these details are available. So should there be anything that you want to seek out in terms of clarifications or anything else that you are finding as a challenge, so we are available 24/7. You may write to us anytime you feel like. Yeah. These details will be available, so there's nothing to worry. This will be available with the staff here. So, so that is it as far as my brief talk is concerned. Just wanted to give you a window into what the ADB is all about, how we are structured, what are we handling, and what are the opportunities that are available to the defense ecosystem for you to sort of chip in, send out your proposals, and get in touch with us. So, any questions, anything that you'd like to ask? Yeah. No, can you say that again, please?
Products or items
Yes.
or services
So-
identified for TDF support?
Yes, yes.
That is available on the website?
Yes, it is available on the website. When you access the home page and when you get into the problem definition part of it, you will find exactly what we are looking for. And even if it is whatever technology that you're bringing is not listed, you can always come up as a suo motu proposal. You can come to us, you can tell us that this is what I have made. Is there any use for this? So both the routes are available. One route is that having interacted with the user, we are aware of what we need. And then there is this route where we may not be aware of what exists out there. And you can come up as a suo motu contact with us, and we'll examine whatever proposal or whatever technology you're getting.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, good morning.
Yeah. Hi.
We are from Hinduja Group.
Okay.
Okay, so we are into exhaust after treatment system. That is, in a layman's way, muffler was there in BS4.
Okay.
And now it is exhaust after treatment, wherein 3 technologies comes in, DOC, DPF and SCR.
Okay.
So, with the stringent regulations in BS6, all 3 technologies are required. But I believe Army is still in BS3 mode.
Okay.
And probably they will go to BS4. That time probably this SCR technology is very much required.
Okay.
Wherein
Yeah,
this
possible.
AdBlue or DEF diesel exhaust fluids are required.
Yes.
So I believe this technology helps in the, what do you call?
Emission. Reducing
Yeah, emission. It's all
okay.
about emissions.
Yeah,
So,
so-
what do you feel that?
Yeah. So, right. What happens is, I'll explain the process once again to you. Like, for example, you come up with a proposal like this, that, you can reduce emissions based on the norms that exist. So you come up with a proposal like that. We will send it across to the dealing directorate. Like the EME, they'll be the ones who normally deal with maintenance issues. They're also the ones who deal with policy with respect to emission norms and things like that. Plus, there could also be a case where, in case you're developing something which is a filtration unit or something like that, and we have power generation units in high altitude and Leh and Ladakh. So we might find a use for that technology up there in the mountains. So when you give us a technology, we examine it from the point of view of where we can use it, and thereafter we can give you as to how to sort of go about what you're creating. What kind of end technology capability do we need? So that could be in terms of a size or a shape or a capability itself, or something like that. So this is how you can approach us. Yes, there could be a use case for this. As I said, many of these things may not be listed as part of our problem definition, but they could be technologies which have viable usage in different areas where we are deployed. Yeah, so that is how you can go about this. Yes, yes. Make projects by and large would be slightly bigger funded projects, the big ticket projects, 100 crores and things like that. So the smaller projects could be under technology development, or else could be under the IDEX model. The IDEX Prime will be 10 crores, as I mentioned, and the IDEX, normal IDEX will be 3 crores, and the TDF is 10 crores again. So TDF is in close coordination and partnership with the DRDO. So you could take any of these. In fact, now the ecosystem is friendly enough to encourage everyone to grow along with the ecosystem itself. So the purpose, as far as a person in uniform is concerned, is to have a capability at the end of every cycle of 5 years. But the purpose overall is also to get the entire defense, industrial ecosystem to grow along with us. So what that means is, like these technologies that you're talking about, they may not be an immediate use case for them, but once we examine this, there could always be a possibility of using these technologies somewhere or the other. We've got such vast areas of deployment. We have a scope of improving everything that we have in the forward areas. Yeah. Anybody else?
I'm
Yes,
not
ma'am.
sure whether it's right forum to ask, but most of the micro and the small industries who work with DPSUs, where we get stuck is that when we have an equivalent material suggested by us, approval of the same takes a long time. So is there an expertise in material and the metallurgy department where we can approach so that we can make the process faster?
Yes. So as I was mentioning, ma'am, that whatever processes and procedures you've been able to sort of streamline or improve, you get that to us. We will examine it from the point of view of where that can be used by us and make suggestions to you accordingly. Now, in case there's something which comes across as a duplication of what the DPSU is already doing, then we will take them on board and also consult with them. So it's not as if it's the end of the road. Even if the procedures and policies presently don't support you, there could always be a case for a suo motu sort of addressing of those kind of things, or treatment of those kind of things. So you can always come to us and we will examine it with the stakeholders.
Sure. The second point that I need to raise is the raw material procurement that the micro and the small industry face. Because of the low quantity of order, getting military grade raw material in low quantity is a big challenge, mainly for the import substitution products. So is there a thought process where we can have one central nodal procurement place, where all the OFBs and the DPSU's requirement gets procured and micro and small can buy from them?
So ma'am, as far as we are concerned, we have no idea of this particular kind of a thing, but maybe the ministries dealing with these specific things could answer this better. But what I can sort of say in response is that in case there's something that you require from somewhere and you're not being able to find it, but we can utilize our databases which is available both in the TNWS. The global databases are available with us. The domestic databases are available with us. So we can guide you through the sort of process of how to approach and whom to approach. So that we can do. Yeah, we can give you the sources based on whatever we have. But in terms of a central procurement area or something like that, maybe the ministries will be able to answer better. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yes.
Particularly in the MAKE project. Suppose there may be already some agency who is supplying to Army or Navy. Suppose some industry who is interested to take up such projects, how we will go about it?
So, if I have understood the question,
and whether we will get the order. Suppose we develop. There
So-
may be already some agencies who are already supplying.
so
How
if,
to go about those
if I've
things?
understood your question correctly, that you're trying to say that we've already been taking procurement of certain things from other vendors, and you're trying to give that to us, which is indigenized, which is locally. Yes.
We are not going to go from December 2022 onwards, these items.
Yeah.
December 2023 onwards, these items and all. Suppose some industries, we are interested to develop those items. Whether we will get the order or already, is there any chances that we may not get the order, we will develop like that?
The DPP should be the web page on which you will get details of this kind. As far as the procurement part is concerned, the Army Design Bureau directly does not deal with it. However, the processes are very clear. Whatever the DAP 2020 lays down in terms of defense procurements, those will be the procedures that will be followed. So, in case it's a new procurement, obviously we'll have to go through the same system of RFPs and all of those things. And in case it's a procurement which is ongoing, which is a repeat order kind of a thing, then there are policies for that as well.
Then what for this positive indigenization list? Is it for us to develop those items, or
yes,
this is only an indication? That's all.
If certain technologies or certain items have been identified for indigenization, So they will be sent out as challenges, like it was in the case of the disk that I mentioned to you.
Hey, what you were mentioning, that disk and all is smaller items.
Yes.
Suppose some platforms like make 1, make 2, make 3 category,
Yes.
those items are only positive indigenization list, it is coming. Suppose some industry, say for example Ashok Lane, he wants to develop such a platform. Whether he will get the order if after he develops.
Yes, you will get the orders in case it comes up to those kind of competitive see, there are two parts to this. One is the technology coming up to the standards that have been laid down in terms of parameter testing. There will be a trial and all those things will happen. So that is the part which deals with design and development. Post that, as far as the orders is concerned, the orders will be placed in the make 2, for example. There is a quantity that is assured at the end of the development of that particular technology or that particular item, which is assured to the person who is making it, to the industry that is making it.
Only when you are tendered out or you give an RFP, that time only we have to take what?
Yes, so in make 2, as I mentioned to you, in make 1, in any case the funding is by the Government of India.
Yes.
In make 2, since the industry is funding it, there is a minimum order quantity that is assured at milestone 3 or 4 when you have some proof of something that is tangible in terms of what is being created. So once that stage is reached, thereafter there will be a minimum order quantity that will be given to you.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
His question is that there are make 2 projects which have been put in the public forum.
Sir.
He wants to ask if we can take on, and if we take on, is there a guarantee that we'll get an order? Is that the question? Right.
So
what it is that like make 1, make 2 as well as make 3 projects. Whatever is available is a complete list. Whether somebody is progressing or not, we need to find out. Firstly, whosoever is the developing agency,
Sir.
suppose for example one DPSC is doing it, we're supposed to approach them and tell them that we are willing to take on this, and then take the drawings from them. Thereafter progress.
Okay.
Once it is completed on NCNC basis, thereafter it will be tested as per the parameters
Sir.
and accepted. So that is the way you can assure the order. Any other queries you had? Now you have to approach the concerned agency and then tell them that you want to take this on.
See, it is given as you are not going to import in future. So that means, so far you are importing. It means like that only. No? Yes. So then there is nobody in this country to supply those things. So we can sumoto, we can develop those things.
When you say make 1, 2, 3, anything, it is
Not make 1.
No.
See,
Make 2.
See, make 1, make 2, make 3 and all already RFP will be there. Yes. What the question is, whatever available in the positive indigenization list, sumoto I can take up developing those items.
So you have to inform somebody that you are interested. That is the first step. If it is available, you will tell, I don't know. If it is available at that stage, not after making. Before that you say, I am interested, I am capable, should I go? You will say, no, we already identified, or go ahead. That the first step is to inform Army, Air Force, Navy, or any particular department. That is the first stage, not start making, then we find out. So, whether you make 1, 2 or 3, who is the user you have to find out? You have to find out the need. It's only a need.
No, you make 1, 2, 3 and all, it is
the user input is first, then you do it. Then your answer is given.
Okay.
So we should ask the user that.
Yeah, if there is an established need and it has not been fulfilled through any present existing procedure, then obviously we'll take it up. Assurance of an order is going to be following the same course as is applicable for everything else. Yes.
In TDF projects, thank you. In TDF projects, a quantity that is required is also mentioned in several cases. Now, when you say about money-wise, there is a limit of 10 crores or whatever, does it include the supply of the quantity also, or is it purely for development?
It is only for development.
So supply of quantity will come later?
The supply of quantities comes up once you reach a particular milestone. Like for example, if you reach milestone 4 onwards, then the quantities start coming into the play of things.
Does it mean that whoever comes to the milestone 4 will automatically get that quantity order?
No. it does not mean like that. But what I'm saying is that the discussion on quantities will come up at that point.
Okay, the reason for my question is this. We are business people and we need ultimately to take out money whatever we have invested.
Absolutely.
In TDF projects, there is a requirement for 10% of the development cost to be borne by the developer. Now, if we have to invest that money, then we should know what is the return path. Now, if the quantity is not assured, or if the quantity discussion itself will take place after milestone 4, don't you think there is a gap there? What about the return path?
Yeah, so since this development will have to lead to a tangible product, and it will be very difficult to decide at the very inception as to whether that product is even going to be available. So the quantities, the discussion on quantities cannot take place before you reach some stage of some tangible product coming to you. Tangible, when I say tangible, it has to be beyond lab testing. It has to be at a stage where there is some proof of this technology even working. So that is why the quantity discussions. So second thing is that, like for example, even for testing, if you require a specific quantity, then those will be under procurement. Those will be under procurement. They will not be considered to be part of the MOU. If the MOU specifically says that fine, there is a requirement of 5 prototypes to be created at the end of this, then it is based on whatever we've signed together. However, if we have created just one prototype and you require 4 or 5 prototypes for testing, so those other 4 or 5 will have to be procured. So that is the assurance which comes in the end. I hope, you can understand what I'm saying. Like for example, there is something which requires destructive testing. So if your prototype gets destroyed in the first test and the balance of the parameters have not been tested yet, so the balance 4-5 prototypes that we need, we will procure that from you. That will be purchased. That will be considered a procurement. Yeah. Yes.
My question is ATP dealing only with the new product development? Is something for the service industry as opportunities available? Like for example, the repair and maintenance of critical electronic equipments and kind of thing. Does it come under the purview of ADB or is it?
No, we are by and large looking at capital procurements. Okay. So that will come under the MGS. By and large, it will be under the MGS.
MGS.
Master General Sustenance. The earlier QMGS branch, now it's been rechristened as the MGS. So anything to do with maintenance of existing equipment, that will come under the MGS. They have funds for this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'll be available, so if there are any questions which come up later, so I'll be here. Yeah, anything else?
So I represent Monotech into 3D printing system. So it kind of works into all the areas, but not specifically to a product to be tested, because we are going to assist almost every product for ideation to design phase to. So how do we come into the picture? We don't know where to get started to. We do services and we also have printers to be procured by the army or by the MSME itself. So where do we actually get involved?
So what are you dealing with exactly?
We do 3D printing services.
3D printing
services, both, okay. And 3D printer sales and solutions.
Okay. So my suggestion to you would be that if you come up with a suo motu proposal with your capability, we will send it across to the line directorates. They will examine it, and in case they find a use case for it, we will get back to you. So because this is a kind of an intermediary product, it is not an end state product. So if that technology or capability could be utilized to create something else, so we will get back to you.
Yeah, it's already tested and proven for use in defense and aerospace and every material.
Right. Yeah. So I was just, in fact, there was somebody else also who came up. You just came up. So for example, in the high altitude areas in the borders with China, we are constantly engaged in creating of defenses, which means making permanent defenses, PDs and all those kind of things. So we had a proposal that came in where they said that we can make 3D blocks, 3D printed blocks, and hence the construction time for those PDs would reduce drastically. So again, that's an end use case for you. Correct. So if you can make those construction blocks for us to make those PDs which have the same strength as the existing cement blocks, So then that becomes a use case. for
Yeah,
you.
the 3D printing blocks in cement industry
Exactly.
becomes a different, totally domain.
Yeah.
We are in the mechanical engineering as
In
well
mechanical,
as the
no, this
domain.
is just as an example. As I
Yeah.
mentioned that whatever you have could become an intermediary technology to achieving
Correct.
something else.
Yeah.
So if you come up with a proposal, we will examine it, send it across to the line directorates, to the users, and in case they find a use case for it, we will get back to you.
Yeah, and just at this juncture to also tell all the MSMEs that we are right in Ambattur in the center here. So we have a full additive manufacturing center for use for all the MSMEs and because we sell machines and solutions, we offer at a very economical rate. So people are free to come and test their products at the center from composites to metal to plastics.
Great.
Thank you.
Great. Yeah. Yes.
This is a development job and naturally there is a chance for success or failure.
Absolutely.
Now, in case the product goes through successfully, then you said we will be giving the order and manufacturing can happen, everything is fine. Now, in case there is a issue because of which the army is not able to procure, or it finds certain faults which could not be rectified, then what happens to the milestone payments already made? Will there be a recovery or something like that, or who takes the risk?
The milestone payments are not recovered. That is one. Secondly, in case I have to take this debate forward, you might also find a situation where you've been successfully able to develop something, but it has no use for us for the time being. So there is also a system of certification which is given by us, which says that this is fit for military use. And that certification you can use thereafter to sell that product to somebody else.
Does it mean that whatever product is developed is not reserved for Indian Army use? It can be sold anywhere else?
What that means is, like for example, I provide you with a testing. There are two things in this. There could be 4 or 5 vendors who come to us, and out of which only one will be getting the contract in the end. That is how it works out. So the balance of the vendors, their products having been tested, will be certified to be fit for military use so that they can sell it to somebody else. That is one. Second is that in case you have not gone through the process of development as part of winning a challenge or something like that, then you go for a internal evaluation or an evaluation which is under the NC, no cost, no commitment evaluation that is carried out in our ranges and forward areas, which we will test and evaluate, and then we will certify that this is fit for military use, fit for use by the Indian Army, even if we are not procuring that product from you. So that certification we do, and based on that certification, you can sort of sell that product to anybody else who's interested.
Anybody else in the sense? Any other
Anybody
Indian
else,
Defence Force or any other outside country?
Yes. You can even sell it to people outside the borders. I mean, not to Pakistan, but to other people who might be interested as people who can be perspective biased. Okay, I'll tell you how this works. We've had a Notex which just happened in Northern Command in Udhampur, where a lot of industry people came in and showed their product, showcased their technologies. We called over certain defense attaches from our neighboring countries, not neighboring on the wrong side of the border, but I'm talking about Vietnam, Malaysia and all these people. So they had a look at those technologies, and a lot of industries thereafter started getting orders. Similarly, you will have Mahotsav like Drone Mahotsav which took place, so there will be technologies which we may not be inducting immediately, which could be sort of, other people could be interested in those technologies. So certification could be obtained from the Defense Ministry. It has been delegated to the Army Design Bureau for the time being. And thereafter you can sort of take up business cases for those technologies to be available to other interested customers outside. So that is what we can do.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else now? I'm available, so there is no problem. Even if you can think of a question later, I'll be available to answer it. So once again, it's been a great honor. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for such valuable information. I am very sure everybody who has attended will be able to take their businesses forward. Next in line is a presentation by Brigadier A.B. Sibal, Vishesh Seva Medal, Director RTN, Headquarters Southern Command. I'll be giving you a little brief of the speaker. Brigadier A.B. Sibyl Vishesh Seva Medal was commissioned in 10 Engineer Regiment on 14th June 1986 and has had 4 tenures with the same unit. He is an M.Tech from IIT Kharagpur in Airfield and Highways and was the topper of the course. He has an equitable experience in combat, human resource and works. He has Senated appointment as Chief Engineer, Srinagar Zone, and Director General, Naval Project, Mumbai, and Headquarter 9 Corps, looking after important projects of Indian Army. He has also performed the duties of Brig Works in LWE Directorate QMG branch from 2019 to 2021, handling work services and quartering policies of the entire Indian Army. He is currently tenanting the appointment of Director, Regional Technology Node, Headquarters Southern Command since January 2022. He has also been awarded with Vishesh Seva Medal and Chief of Army Staff Commendation Card twice. Now I request Sir to please kindly come on the stage and give his presentation.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for the introduction that you have given. Before I start, I must thank the Swatantrata Foundation and the headquarter DB area for having organized this particular event and given me an opportunity to speak to this august gathering of the representatives of the industry. In the next few minutes, my endeavor would be to acquaint you with the organization, the role of the RTN at Pune, as also what we have done till now and what are our focus areas. Can I have the next slide, please? Achha. Next. Okay, this slide broadly tells you about the raising time frame of the RTN Pune. As you are all aware that the Make in India initiative started off when the Prime Minister announced that in the year 2014, and thereafter to take this initiative forward, the Indian Army raised the Army Design Bureau, which took place somewhere in 2016. And it was in 2020 that ADG level officer was finally posted to the ADB. Over the last few years, the ADB has done a lot of work, and it has been an interface between the Indian Army with the industry, the academia and the DRDO. But however, it was felt that this was too central and there was a requirement of having further nodes in various locations so as to be able to interact locally with the industry and the academia. And that is how the conceptualization of the RTN took place. The first such node was established at Pune. Now, there are basically two reasons why Pune was selected for this. First, Pune also housed the headquarters of Southern Command, which is the biggest command in the Indian Army. And second, more importantly, Pune was central to the states of, say, Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, and the southern states, which has a huge industry backup. These states also have renowned educational institutions, as also a large number of DRDO labs. So it was felt that in case this node is established at Pune, the facilitation and the interaction would become much more pronounced and we could take these things forward. So therefore, while the RTN started functioning in August of last year in an ad hoc manner, it was formally raised on 2nd of November of 2021. And today we are in a stage where, having worked for about 6 months, we realize that being alone in Pune is also not fair and we require to further spread out. So there is a lot of deliberation going on to have certain sub-nodes coming up in various other states. And probably Chennai, Hyderabad, Bangalore, we require to have some nodes coming up there with full-fledged staff so that we can take these initiatives forward. Next. Now, briefly about the organization of the regional technology node in Pune. We have a chairman who is Brigadier NP Singh. I am the director, and we have another officer, Colonel Ramdas, who is the OIC RTN. Now, we keep receiving a lot of proposals from the industry which are quite varied in nature and in the topic by itself. So, we have co-opted officers of the other branches of the army, I've listed it down on the view foil, who are domain experts by themselves. So, whenever, like Brigadier Yadav was also mentioning, that whenever any proposal is received, we send it to the concerned line director for them to analyze the product and then take it forward if it is required by the Indian Army. Next. We have also, for the present, detailed nodal officers who are covering almost every state that the Southern Command is responsible for. So we have nodal officers at Jodhpur, Bhopal, Chennai, Mumbai, Bangalore, Hyderabad and Ahmedabad, who assist the RTN Southern Command to evaluate various products, carry out NCNC trials, interact with the industry, facilitate the various trials that are going on, make available our ranges, make available ammunition for trials if required. So that is how the things are being worked out in the present state. Now the basic responsibility of the RTN, akin to what the ADB is doing, is to be an interface between the Indian Army, that is the users, with the industry and the academia primarily. We don't directly deal with the DRDO, though we have been interacting with them. The interaction is primarily at the level of the ADB because the DRDO is into very major projects. So from the Indian Army, from the field formations, we derive the problem statements. We assist them in carrying out the NCNC demos after interaction with the industry. Certain newer ideas and innovations are also generated from the field formations and the units. And if we find anything very attractive, then we also tie up with the industry to take it forward. And as far as the industry is concerned, we invite proposals from them, study whether it is of any requirement for the Indian Army. We also match the problem statements that have been received from the formations and see what the industry, which particular industry can help us out with. And in case we do give it to any industry, then we ensure that we have a proper project management team or a project monitoring team to first apprise the industry of what exactly is the issue and how to take it forward. And we have also been interacting with the academia for research projects, and we attend their seminars to understand their capabilities and what infrastructure they have which could be of use to us. Next, please. So these are the basic efforts which I have highlighted that we have been doing over the last 6 months of our raising. One important thing which is mentioned is the access to the ranges, weapons and ammunition and equipment. Earlier, there were a lot of issues with regards to taking any project forward. The Indian Army and the services in particular, we were rather conservative in making available our equipment to the industry. But times have changed. The processes have improved and have become much faster. We are here now to facilitate all this. So if we have any industry partner who wants to have a look at our equipment, we are open to it. If there is any person who's made a weapon system, he wants to test it, he's wanting ranges to be made available, well, they will be facilitated. Certain amount of ammunition for small arms as also major ammunition could be made available, but obviously there are procedures for that and certain payments required to be done. So things are moving in the right direction. There is a positive growth, and this sort of an interaction between the industry and the Indian Army will also help us move forward. Next. So what have we done till now? Now the first major step after having been raised was to make people aware of what is the requirement of the Indian Army. And to that extent, we have had certain very structured events that were organized. The first itself was the inauguration of the RTN, which was on the 2nd of November. Along with this, we had a startup forum that was organized by the SIDM. We had about 135 participants who were basically, firstly, we got to know about what they could help us out with, and also we could also tell them about our functioning and our requirements. The second major event that was organized was on the 8th of January of 2022. This initially was supposed to be an offline event, but subsequently had to be done online because of certain COVID protocols. But the participation was immense, and we had about 272 representatives from 170 various industries. We are also in the process of facilitating visits to our CAT-A establishments, which house a large amount of equipment and weaponry systems for our industry partners to visit. Next. As part of our interaction, more to see the products that are on offer, we've had one major event that was organized by the Maratha Chambers of Commerce, Industry and Agriculture at Pune on 21st and 22nd of March, wherein about 72 industries had showcased their products. This also included about 20 startups. Apart from this, from the RTN, we keep visiting various industries to see what all facilities are available. We also, based on the proposals that are received, we give opportunity to the industry partners to come and give presentations so as to take the cases forward. We have also been interacting quite extensively with the academia over the last 6 months. And apart from the IITs that are there, that is Chennai and Mumbai, we have also interacted vastly with the BISAC, that is the Bhaskaracharya Institute of Space Application and Geoinformatics, on the AI related issues that we have. We have also got in touch with the various engineering colleges, that is the Army Institute of Technology, College of Military Engineering, College of Engineering Pune, the MS Ramaiah University and RV College at Bangalore. Basically, the smaller issues that we have for even the students to take up as their internship projects. And we have also interacted with the Pune Institute of Technology for the drone policy. So, over the last 6 months, we have now made quite a database of the industry spread that is there in the southern states, and we are quite aware of most of the industries of what they do and who could be approached for a particular type of a problem statement. Next. We have also interacted with the DRDO, primarily both at the headquarters at Delhi, as also various DRDO establishments, basically to understand what all projects they are handling so that there is no duplication of effort. Next. Now this slide basically covers what are our focus areas that the Southern Command is looking into. And these are basically based on the weapon systems, the communication, security requirements, the mobility requirements, habitat, equipment management, you name it. So while we have identified these issues for Southern Command, but most of these have got pan-India implications. So while interaction with us to resolve these issues may be just a start point, but then subsequently the other commands would also require similar sort of answer to their queries and challenges. Now, you would be aware that the ADB regularly puts it on the net, their various problem definition statements which they have compiled. And the last one that was done was in the year 2020, wherein about 150 such problem definition statements were listed, which were subsequently reduced to 46 by merging certain, and which through other courses had already found solutions. So 46 are still existing. The ADB was to release another set of problem definition statements in the DEF Expo, which was there in Gandhinagar, which finally got cancelled. But in the meanwhile, within our short period that the RTN Pune is in being, we have been able to accumulate our own problem definition statements of specific issues related to Southern Command. Initially, we were able to formulate about 50 such statements, and then realizing that certain problem statements were overlapping, certain projects were already underhand by the ADB, we have finally pruned it down to about 23. We've already shared this particular list with the ADB for further examination and inclusion in their main list, oblique giving us permission to further go out to the industry to share these problems. Basically, there are 4 different heads under which we have listed down these problem statements. That is improvement of the weapon systems, the indigenization of space, which is a major criticality now, artificial intelligence, medical and logistics. Like I mentioned, that the indigenization of space is quite a critical issue now, especially after the Russia-Ukraine conflict that has started and imports becoming a big problem. As you are aware that till now, most of the equipment that is there with the Indian Army and the other 2 services have all been imported. So because of this conflict and the changing world order, getting space from outside will always be a challenge. And therefore, as a country, we require to take the initiative of Make in India and Atmanirbar to the furthest possible. And to that extent, the industry is being requested to find solutions for indigenization of space. We've had a lot of interaction with the industry at Pune for this particular thing, and just about 3 days back, we had an event which was organized there in Pune, wherein we, through the Maratha Chambers of Commerce, Industry and Agriculture, were able to get about 12 such vendors who could help us out in making spare parts for us. To start with, we've also got from various units and formations about 120 critical such spares which we wanted immediate solutions for. And we displayed it for the industry to have a look, and we have also offered these to them so that in case they can find solutions for this. We are just awaiting proposals, and I'm sure that there would be enough of the industry partners who can help us out in this cause. So I would request that similar action could take place here also in DB area, and whatever problems are being faced, like we have certain people who are mentioning that they are doing 3D scanning. So this is one of the solutions wherein we can get our spare parts. The other aspect which I would also like to tell now is that till now everything was being imported. It is the first time that now the Indian industry is getting involved in this. It has taken the American industry centuries, I would say, to come to that stage of being rich enough to spend a lot on R&D. We as an industry should also ensure that we are doing it for our own country. To start looking for orders on the first day may not be a very appropriate thing. Like I said, that as of now, we are handling this in Southern Command. It may be a very small level, but each of these has got pan-India implications. So if you are able to produce, say, a spare part, a wheel drum of, say, L70 gun, which is a very old gun, and we are not getting these wheel drums. There may be very limited units in Southern Command, but just see the number of units that are there across the entire country. So the orders will multiply. The first step is to convince us that the product that has been manufactured meets the quality assurance. At the end of it, one thing is very clear, that the equipment or a weapon system is being made for a soldier who has to operate on that. We cannot have any accidents taking place because of an inferior equipment. So we should have a very clear conscience to ensure that whatever product is made meets that requirement, and we do not unnecessarily lose a life. Once that assurance is given and a product is found fit enough for induction, then there will be enough of orders to come in. We had a lot of interaction with regards to this 3D printing and other things. The only thing that we asked the industry partner is, how are you going to test it and how are you going to ensure that the product meets the same specifications and requirement as the original prototype that was there, which is being replaced now. So this is what we require to really focus on. Next. We are also in the process of developing technical hubs, labs, which will help us create centers of excellence, skill development hubs and common facilities, and we are looking at the industry for help. Presently, we are wanting to have these 4 centers coming up in Pune itself. One is with the Army Institute of Technology, primarily for the electronics, the AI and the robotics. We are also looking at another center exclusively for combat engineering, one for the indigenization of space, and one for skill development for cyber security. This is just the start point, and I'm sure that the industry partners from here also would be able to help out on this. Another major challenge that is there is with regards to the electric vehicles. After all, electric vehicles is the future. And a lot of push is also being given by the government to ensure that the facilitation for electric vehicles is given. We had an event that was organized in Pune quite recently on the initiative of the government of Maharashtra, wherein we from the RTN had also participated. This was with regards to the alternate fuel that was there, and a lot of electric vehicles were also showcased. There were also a lot of industry partners who have now developed conversion kits which can convert the existing petrol/diesel vehicle into an electric vehicle. So to take this initiative forward, we have at least decided that we will convert at minimum 3 gypsies initially to see how it works. We had also considered this for conversion of the motorcycle as also buses. But then we realized that the cost of the conversion kit is so high that it may not be cost effective. It would rather be better to buy a new product rather than converting our existing ones. So we'll see how it works, but definitely electric vehicle is the future. Here also I had quite recently visited one of the firms who, along with the fabrication of various platforms for weapons and vehicles, was also into the production of electric vehicles. They had started producing electric rickshaws and electric cycles and all. So I was just basically discussing with them with regards to the problems that are being faced in the electric vehicles as of now. We've had so many accidents that have taken place because of burning of the batteries and all. So he was mentioning that he had a word with Mr. Gadkari also, that at the national level they require to actually formulate what type of batteries should be put in use. To cut costs, there are the players who are putting inferior batteries which are putting people at risk. So once that gets formulated, then I'm sure that this industry will also progress quite a bit. Like I said, that with our various interaction with the industries, what the industry reps were looking at is also an access to our equipment. After all, most of them have not seen the military equipment. I was talking to the proprietor of Zeus Numerics. Apparently, he's got some innovation award in IDEX for 81 mm motors. And when he spoke to me, he says, "Sir, I have never seen a 81 mm motor." But he's somehow read that system and he's been able to produce some sort of an innovation for that. So now we are in the process of facilitating. We said, we'll show you the equipment, we'll show you how it fires also. So we in the RTN are there to facilitate all this. And along with the Maratha Chamber of Commerce and Industry, we have now got a list of about 65 industry representatives who want to visit the Armored Corps Center and School at Ahmednagar and also the RT School in Deolali to see the equipment, to see the firing, and also to understand from the users themselves what are the limitations and what improvements are required in each one of them. So all that facilitation can be carried out by us, and that is what we are sitting here for. That's all that I have. I'll just flash one particular slide to you, which will give you the contact details of the RTN Pune. And next slide, please. So Brigadier NP Singh is the chairman, and that is his mobile number. And the mobile number of Colonel Ramdas and myself are also shown on the view file. We have this email ID of the RTN which could be utilized. And all those present here, whoever wishes to interact with us, may send their proposals to us on this email. We'll have a look. Like I said, that we have co-opted members from all the branches who are experts in their own domain. So we will get it vetted from them. And if required, we will also seek a presentation from you in case it is possible, and also to showcase your products so as to take it forward. Well, that's all that I have to tell you. In case you have any questions, I'll answer it.
More details on indigenization, which you did in Maratha area? Is it possible for you to depute a person from your RTN or EDB to Tamil Nadu industries to take up indigenization?
No, there's no issue. I mean, we've got an extension out here. Colonel Ratan Singh is here, who's in the DB area, who is also one of the nodal officers with us. So in case a similar sort of an exercise that we carried out in Pune with regards to indigenization of space is required to be done here, we can get it organized.
You can also give some technical specifications also if required, and field trials, helping them for field trials and all?
For field trials, in case you have a product that you want to showcase, we will facilitate it. We've got various units and formations, the active ones, who have the other equipment for comparison. So all those can be facilitated, not an issue.
For example, the firefighting jackets kind of thing, some of the companies in Tamil Nadu are developing, you know.
Yes, yes.
So those kind of things, I think you can help.
For any product that is available with the industry, which is of use to the Indian Army, we are ready to take it forward. We can facilitate the trials, we can facilitate demos, presentations, the access to our ranges, anything.
Thank you.
Yeah, we have just organized one in Pune.
What is your
we can take it
requirement?
forward
Those,
in case there are enough
some
of...
samples sort of things if you keep, our industries can visit and decide which part they can make.
Yes, yes, that can be organized.
Yes.
Not as yet. We have sent 23 of these to the ADB for vetting, because we were not very sure of what is there in the list that they had prepared for this year's release. So we don't want any duplication to take place. So we have sent it to them for vetting. And once it is vetted, they may include certain in their own list or may return back certain to us for taking it directly with the industry. That is how we'll present it to the industry. But I have just broadly brought out that it has been clubbed into 4 major heads.
Excuse me, sir. So recently, Indian Air Force has conducted a program, indigenization program, in which they displayed their products which are to be indigenized here at Avadi. Similar such efforts in other defense agencies will happen in future. So we can get a view of the samples of those products.
Yes, yes, definitely. Like I said, that indigenization of space is a major issue with us now.
Okay.
Since the imports have almost practically are stopping.
Okay.
And therefore, we require to find solutions for our critical space within the country.
Okay.
So as a first step, we've organized this event in Pune.
Okay.
Similarly, we can always have it in other places.
Okay.
And the industry representatives can be shown that sample if they want to carry it to do some 3D scans or whatever. Okay. That can also be facilitated, not an issue. That's exactly what I was saying, that we can organize certain events here also, like what we did in Pune. As of now, it is just a start point. This was the first event that we had in Pune, wherein we showcased about 120 critical spares to take it forward. The list of spares that is there in the inventory of the Indian Army would run into lakhs. But then there are already industries who are making nut bolts and other things which are of use. So these were the spares which we are not getting any solutions for. I'll just give you an example. There is something called the K9 Vajra weapon systems. Now when this initially came, there was no tool for recovery of that particular system. It never came as part of the inventory. But on ground, the soldiers were facing problem when it had to be towed. So we approached, there is, which is this firm, I'll just recollect the name. There's a, Gadke Patel Industries in Kolhapur. We approached them. They said, we'll find a solution. So they made a cast and they've also tested it for the strength and other things. So the solutions will come in. So we have started identifying. That was the first step that we took. The second step was this event that we had formally about 3 days back, wherein we showcased about 120 such critical spares. We got it from various formations because they were facing these issues on a regular basis. So now we can take it further. Now we have got our formations in various locations, so we can organize such a thing for the industry at various locations, so that we don't have to really move space from one end to the other end. We will plan it out. In case there are a lot of industries who are going to come forward to find out solutions for this, we'll do it. We'll do it regularly now.
Is for a one time or a long term, developing the market, effort and energy. Is it that you buy one time and not repeat, or is it going to be a little longer term agreement with industries? And somebody puts in effort, you know.
Now, you would also realize that the equipment that is there in the Indian Army and the other two services has been doing service for last 30 years, 40 years, some of them. And replacement of the equipment every now and then is not possible. So one has to do with the old system that is there. So the requirement of spares is going to be an ongoing process. It's going to be a never-ending thing. But yes, like I said earlier, that initial requirement may be a little less, but since the implications are pan-India, because there are similar units spread over the other commands as well and in operational areas. So the demands will keep increasing in case we find a solution to a particular problem. And now we are looking at only the Indian industry. What we were earlier importing, now that is stopping. So we require, so the orders will come. It is just that we require to establish a foothold first to be able to make that spare, give us assurance that the quality is there, and then the orders will be there.
What I was referring is, somebody puts in effort and make now for you, he meets what you want. If in the next year it's going to be an L1 system, somebody won't be wanting to put that effort.
Yeah, I agree.
Somebody won't be wanting to put that effort.
Sadly, that is the difference between buying a product as an individual outside and as an organization buying it.
Yeah, but
now all government organizations are bound by certain rules and regulations.
But
and that is how the system is, that one has to be competitive and become the L1.
No, it can be a multi-year contract to start with. You know, so at least the first person who does it must be rewarded with a longer term advantage.
That is why
subsequently it can be year on.
Correct. So that is why for major platforms we have these routes that have to be followed, and wherein after a particular level assured orders are there. But for maybe indigenization of space, it may not be possible because it will be at a much lesser level. But like I said, that once a product is being developed, I mean, like the wheel drums of L70, the AD guns, is a problem that is being faced by all the units of the Indian Army. So if that be so, if somebody is able to do a particular thing, obviously now he'll have the know-how. So in the entire transparent system of procurements, since he has the know-how, he will probably be the L1 only. So that is how it will help him.
Can these things be IPR'd because it's a spare of some company, no? Yeah, because one of the my own this thing, in the experience, one of the reasons a lot of talents don't try to spend their time into making any defense this thing is there is no consistency of procurement. Somebody goes through all the efforts to make it, then you're not sure. You're putting some testing equipment. You're going to install capacity. Right.
Then the processes of something can be patented so that you retain that
Yeah, USA and all, what they do is at least they say first 5 years, anybody who comes first to take that effort to develop, they are guaranteed purchases 5 years, things like that. No, they got a quote like that. I think so. That's one of the disadvantages of you face as a buyer. Thank you.
But over a period of time, if you see the last 4-5 years, there have been a lot of changes in the policies that are being put in place by the government. Basically to fast track all these procedures and also to help the industry produce things and like address the issues like what you're mentioning. Beg your pardon? Yes, 100%. Anybody else? Sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Your valuable inputs have acquainted everyone with better understanding of organization, roles and focus areas of Regional Technology Node of Indian Army and particularly of RTN Headquarters Southern Command. Now I would like to request Mr. Rama Subramaniam from Swatantra Foundation to convey the vote of thanks. And I would like to inform everyone that the officers will be available for informal interaction post this event. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, we would like to thank Lieutenant General Arun ji for having coming here and creating an opportunity for us, the MSMEs, and also bringing the RTN and ADB. Hearty thanks to Lieutenant General Arun ji. He promised during the Defense Expo that he want to meet the MSMEs and he did it. Thanks, sir. And we also would like to thank Brigadier Ravi ji and Brigadier Sibal ji from ADB and RTN for enlightening us on the various activities. And yes, we are really know what we can expect from you. Maybe TITCO is represented by Mr. Vinayagam ji here. Maybe he is aware, but I am not aware. Thank you very much. And we also thank Mr. Vijay Kumar of MME and his team for giving us the space, the live streaming and the excellent IT, everything. We thank the GOC staff for all the support. Thank you very much. One second. Brigadier Ravi ji and Brigadier Sibal ji will be available for some more time for the next maybe 30 minutes. If anyone wants to interact with them, you can do that. Thank you.